All right. What's up, members of the new dynasty? A lot of you guys, in fact, probably most of you, except for Gavin, don't recognize me. Um, yeah, I am. My name's Eric Hemholt. I was Gavin's professor out at Grand Valley, and the basic foundation for the league that you guys are now in is my idea slash me putting together bunches of different pieces from other leagues that I came across. I'm going to start off by saying uh, if you enjoy fantasy football, you should absolutely love this league. Um, yeah, it's an awesome league. There's no really any other way to put it. I hope that you guys enjoy this league. Uh, if you guys ever have any questions, Gavin has my email address. Otherwise, don't hesitate to ask me. A lot of what I'm going to put in this video. I'm going to sound a lot smarter than I probably am. Um, but being in this a few years, I kind of know what works. I kind of know what doesn't work. Um, so I like don't email me saying, "Hey, should I play Terrence West or should I play Steven Jackson this week?" No questions like that. But I'm going to continue to view the league as long as Gavin will have me. And if you guys need to bounce questions off me, rule changes, if there's certain things that have worked in my league, I'm here for you. Uh, yeah, I spend more time on fantasy football than anyone ever should without getting paid. So what I did, and I do this for my leagues because I am a stats professor. I'm a huge nerd, and I love being able to blend the two uh, the two things together, both stats um, and fantasy football. Uh, Hopefully, I'll be able to overlay this on the video. If not, I will be able to add a screenshot. Um, so I won't know until I'm done recording this. But you'll be able to see in the spreadsheet that I've created um, some of the things that I do. I come up with week lines, and these are all based on Yahoo's projections, which are really good. Um, yeah. Oh, this is going to get pretty nerdy. If you don't care for nerdy stuff, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you shut this off right now. But I'm going to talk about a lot of numbers here today. So everything that I do is based off Yahoo projections. Yahoo uses AccuScore, which is they've got so many in-depth numbers, and just based on my experience, they actually do a pretty good job of predicting what's going to happen. So they take into consideration who you're playing against, injuries, depth chart. So if Adrian Peterson blows out his ankle in week 2, after it happens, Jarrett McKinnon or whatever his name is will get a bump in all of his values, whether it's home or away. Is there going to be potential weather situations? Yahoo, AccuScore, they take all these things into consideration, and you've probably seen this before. They'll spit out a projected point value. I love using Yahoo. I'm really glad you guys are using Yahoo because of this. ESPN, NFL.com, they basically simulate a game of Madden, and then whatever happens in that's what they have for their projections. I think we can all agree that that's probably not the best way of doing it. So anyway, so that's the foundation of my projections, my predictions that I'm going to give to you guys here today. Just a couple general comments. You'll see on the spreadsheet, whether it's on this video or separate, using conditional formatting. Nerd alert, I know. The bluer it is, the smaller the probability. The whiter it is, the larger the probability. Now, if I'm predicting you to do pretty poorly, it's not actually all that. Your team is not that much worse than actually the best team. You guys did a very good job overall of identifying how much guys should go for. In a little bit, I'll give my best contract and my worst contract from each team, but there wasn't a whole lot of travesties, and there weren't a whole lot of steals either. But yeah, basically in terms of predicted amount of wins, you guys are all between 5.9 and 7.14 looks like the highest. So like on average, if we were to replay the season millions upon millions of times, this is the average of what I would expect you to get. Now, obviously, you're not going to all win between 5 and 7 games. Some of you will do better. Some of you will do worse. But based on the projections, I don't know who those teams are going to be. I cannot really predict strongly that one team is going to finish much greater than the other, and that's because you guys did a really good job of identifying the values. So that's a quick way of saying I'm not going to give you actually a whole lot of information in this video because a lot of your projections are really, really close to each other. So am I still okay? Still going? 6 minutes already. Okay. Getting into the actual spreadsheet. This is how I expect you guys to finish. And again, this is not really, really strong, but just according to Yahoo, kind of a power rankings, and I won't get into exactly how I do it, but we'll start worst to best. So the worst team I have is Jake W. Number 11 is Jeff. Number 10 is John with an H. Then number 9 is Roy. Number 8 is John, no H. 7 is Dustin. 6 is Mark. 5 is Jesse. 4 is Gavin. 3 is Jacob P. 2 is Rich. And that means that according to my formulas and stuff, that Adam has the best team. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Jake W. and Jeff. That doesn't mean I want you to go and sell all of your guys and start playing towards the future. That's just, you guys are all really, really close. Why don't I just go through who I think is the best contract and the worst contract for each team. And we'll start with the bottom of my power rankings and work our way up. So Jake W. I think that your best contract is Pierre Garçon. He led the league in targets last year. I don't know if you guys are doing PPR or not. We do PPR. I don't know if Gavin switched that. But leading the league in targets, RG3 is supposed to be healthy. Could be a huge year for Garçon. I know that Deshaun Jackson is there. But I think Garçon is set up for a very nice couple of years yet. You got him for pretty cheap. I think it's like $25. So that's who I have as your best contract. As your worst contract, I'm already going to bend the rules here a little bit. I'm going to give you a group of players for your worst contract, and you have way too many rookies that I think that you've paid too much for. Now, this actually goes into Yahoo because Yahoo undervalues rookies, in my opinion, and that's probably why you're at the bottom of these power rankings. But Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans, Eric Ebron, Brandon Cooks, and Teddy Bridgewater, you've got 4. Granted, it's probably the top 4 pass-catching options in the league. But I think that you overpaid for them. Just based on my experience, you might get lucky to have 2 or 3 of them hit. I do actually like Bridgewater quite a bit. I like him more than Manziel and Bortles, but too many rookies. Jeff, your best contract is a guy that's not even going to play this year, and that's Justin Blackmon. What was it? I think it was $3 for 5 years. If he comes back, $3 is an absolute steal for him. And $3, even if he doesn't come back, that is not a whole lot of money to be sitting there dead. So I love that Justin Blackmon pickup. You actually didn't have too many bad contracts either. I had to pick one. I'm going to go with Darren Sproles. I think it was $28 for 2 years. His best days are clearly behind him. Obviously, that gets a bump if it is PPR. I'm going to assume for the rest of the video that it is PPR. So 28, still not a huge amount. That's who I have as your worst contract. John with an H. Your best contract I have down as Coby Fleener. I love Andrew Luck. I'm in 2 of these types of leagues. I have Andrew Luck in both of them. I think he's going to be fantastic for years to come. And Coby Fleener, he's got a connection with him through Stanford. There are an awful lot of mouths to feed in Indianapolis, but I actually like Fleener quite a bit. Your worst contract, Tavon Austin. He was terrible last year. Now, I know he was a rookie. Rookie wide receivers don't always do fantastic, and there was a lot of hype surrounding him, and he did pick it up towards the end. But I think he overpaid for him. If he does not pick it up, that's an awful lot of money to pay for a guy that has done relatively nothing in the NFL. Next, Roy. Best contract, Michael Floyd. I think he has the potential to be a stud. If they could get an actual quarterback down in Arizona. I don't think Carson Palmer is the answer, or John Skelton, whatever his name is. But if he ever gets hooked up with a good quarterback, that is a fantastic contract that you have him for. For the worst contract, this one actually hurts me quite a bit because I also have a ton of stock in this guy. Just like I have Andrew Luck in both of my teams. I also have Josh Gordon on both of my teams, and I traded away Julio Jones in the number 2 draft pick to obtain his services this year. And then he goes and screws up again. So I think this draft actually happened before we knew he was going to be likely suspended for the rest of the year. I guess I'll keep my fingers crossed for you that he comes back. But yeah, having almost $70 in dead money this year, that is going to hurt. Next, John, no H. Now, I blamed Jake for taking too many rookies, and I'm actually going to give you your best contracts for 2 rookies as well, and that's Terrence West and Trey Mason. I absolutely love Terrence West this year. Ben Tate sucks. I think Terrence West is going to be a beast in Cleveland, even without the threat of Josh Gordon. But really, you only need one of these 2 to hit in order to say that this was a good gamble for you. Trey Mason was a stud at Auburn. I don't like his situation behind Zach Stacy, but like I said, one of them has to hit. You've got the potential for 2 fantastic contracts there. And then on the flip side, your worst contract, Giovanni Bernard. He was good last year. A lot of people have them in their top 10 running backs for this year. But since he did pick up Jeremy Hill in the draft, I don't see Bernard as an every down back. May have spent just a little bit too much on him. Could be an absolute stud, though. That was just more of a gut feeling on my end. Next, Dustin. Rookies just seem to be... I seem to have a strong opinion one way or the other. I love Kelvin Benjamin. I love this pick for you. Someone in Carolina is going to have to catch the ball. Cam is a very capable quarterback, but more on Cam later. Kelvin, with his size, he just has to go stand in the end zone. Cam should be able to throw it up to him. I see 12 touchdowns for him this year, as long as he keeps his head in the game. For the worst contract, I'm actually plugging 2 guys in here, and I'm giving it to Russell Wilson / Joe Flacco. Now, in a vacuum, neither one of these guys I don't think are vastly overpaid, but the fact that you already have Drew Brees, and maybe you picked these guys up before you got Drew Brees, I don't know. But to carry 3 quarterbacks, especially when one of them is a perennial top 3 quarterback, I don't know why you spent that money on Russell and Flacco. And Russell Wilson, I think, is probably the most overrated fantasy quarterback because you think, hey, he won a Super Bowl. He can run. Actually doesn't score a whole lot of fantasy points, though. Next, Mark. I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I think this is getting kind of long. Mark, your best contract is Mike Wallace. It's actually a great value. I would have signed him to longer. He's actually probably younger than you think. He is only 27 years old. And then for your worst contract, I'm going to lump together a bunch of guys again here. On your spreadsheet, you got a chunk of guys that I think you slightly overpaid for all of them. and that you sign for way too long just because of job security or age or injury history. But between Arian Foster, Tom Brady, Rashad Jennings, Shane Vereen, and Reggie Wayne, all 5 of those guys fall under one of those categories where they're like Jennings not guaranteed to get the job. Vereen is splitting time with Ridley. Again, he does get a bump if it's PPR. Foster is constantly injured. Brady's getting up there in age, and Reggie Wayne is getting up there in age. So I didn't like that little section of your team all that much. Jesse, your best contract, not a stud by any means, but Aaron Dobson, $1 for 5 years. We actually outlawed these kind of deals because there's no real the opposite of benefit. There's no real risk in signing a guy this cheap to this long. Doesn't appear that you guys have that rule in place, so I think that that's a great value for you. Even if he sucks, even if he gets cut, it's only $1. If he's got Brady thrown to him, if he's starting opposite of Edelman, that could be an awesome, awesome contract. Your worst contract, actually not a terrible contract, Matthew Stafford, only because you signed him for 1 year. Now, you also have Johnny Football. Maybe you have a lot more faith in Johnny Football than I do. And I suppose that you could just pick up Stafford again next year, because I don't know of a whole lot of teams that should be struggling for a quarterback next year. Gavin, my boy, my student, you got a fantastic contract with Toby Gerhart. White running backs don't usually, I can't remember the last stud white running back, Mike Allstott maybe, but he's going to be a bell cow. Jacksonville's going to pound the rock with him, and you got him for a fantastic deal. For the worst contract, it's going to be one of 2 guys. It's either going to be Cam Newton or Colin Kaepernick. 2 quarterbacks for more than $50. You can only play one. I would have spent that money elsewhere. Rich, you actually have what might be my favorite contract in the league, and that's Terrence Williams. Dallas has a very high-powered offense. Yes, they have a lot of mouths to feed. Dez Bryant is still there. DeMarco Murray catches the ball a lot out of the backfield. And did I say Dez Bryant? And Jason Witten. So Williams could be 4th on the pecking order. Their defense is terrible, though. They are going to score a crap load of points. And I think Terrence Williams is a fantastic, fantastic contract. For the worst contract, we're nitpicking here again a little bit. But Doug Martin, I think you paid $70, and I think you signed him for 5 years. This all is going to depend whether you get 2012 Doug Martin or 2013 Doug Martin. And I know that 2013 Doug Martin was injured, but take it from me, I'm a Buccaneers fan. He was terrible before he got drafted, or before he got injured. So if 2012 comes back, it's a good contract, or it's a decent contract, a fair contract. You have 2013 Doug Martin. That's an awful lot of money to be paying for a guy for the next 5 years. And then finally, Adam. Your best contract, I think, is Kyle Rudolph. It's a great contract for a top 10-ish tight end. He's anywhere between like 8 and 12. I've seen him on most lists. And then for your worst contract, actually I have Peyton Manning. He's old. We don't want to see. Must have been 3 years ago now, 2011. Peyton Manning is the last year with the Colts where, that could happen. And I know guys could just get injured, period. But if we see him in like a Brett Favre type role where, he's bouncing around from team to team in the last few years of his career, maybe he doesn't really pan out. And that could be an awful lot to spend on a guy that's not going to be producing at a high level. And all that after he's come off the greatest statistical season of all time. So I'm nitpicking with a lot of these teams. The last thing that I do want to say, I want to commend everyone for leaving the draft with cap room available. That's going to prove to be very important because you'll want to pick up guys throughout the year. Like if Adrian Peterson does go down, Jerick McKinnon is probably worth $40 or so on your budget. Sorry this went a little long. I love fantasy football. If you ever want to shoot me any inquiries whatsoever, I'd be happy to answer you. yeah, I'm going to shoot 20 minutes. Wow. I'm going to shoot Gavin another message here. Like I said, I'm going to continue to watch, see how everything goes with you guys. Good luck, everybody. Peace.